The wait is over. It's time for the hottest sports talk show on the internet. In sports and entertainment, it's grown fun. Sports talk with your host, Steve Johnson.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing today on I guess, a somewhat beautiful Friday here in the ATL? It is July 16th. We are halfway through July, man. I mean, it seemed like for a minute we were stuck in the mud. Like we were in the beginning of February. We were still, kind of in oh man, it's got another 6 months until football comes along. And now we are almost there, y'all. We are literally a couple of weeks away from training camp, actually days away from training camp, and a couple of weeks away from significant football, meaning preseason football. And now it starts. Now we're getting into this. We had the summer where, folks wanted we had a lot to talk about with the draft. We had a lot to talk about with the Atlanta Hawks that entered our frame, only because we were hungry for a winning team. So we invited that in. Now it's time to focus our attention towards the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm not saying this is going to be the last time I approach this subject, but I did want to try to encapsulate a little bit about the Matt Ryan effect. Folks, the Matt Ryan effect is not going anywhere. When I see the tons of folks that come on and say, why are we still talking about Matt? Why is it just about Matt? Why do we do it? Because Matt Ryan is the quarterback of your team. If we were winning, Matt Ryan would be on commercials and doing everything else that he could. But I'm trying to say this is absolutely it's all about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is the straw that stirs the cup. I see y'all coming in. Gregory Brown said, Brother Steve, a little off topic. Just popped the question and she said, yes. Oh man, congratulations, my brother Greg. Good job, brother. Welcome to the family, brother. It is congratulations, man. That is awesome, brother. I am so glad for you, bro. Absolutely fantastic. So keep doing what you're doing, and obviously you did enough for her to say yes, because sometimes some brothers do get no. So I am happy for you, man. Congratulations. Greg is also listening on Uncle Steve's Lounge on Facebook. Again, y'all, it's coming up to the season. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff on the YouTube that we probably can't do as much on Facebook, which includes live interactions. That's what we're going to do for the away games this year. Definitely going to just got my spot at the Home Depot backyard this year. So look forward to being on that. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So if y'all get a chance, Uncle Steve's Lounge, subscribe. Rusty comes on and says, I'm a local truck driver, but I don't miss my guys' live streams. So multitasking it is. Rusty, I always appreciate you, brother. And I'm halfway considering that North Carolina trip this year. So if I happen to make it up to Charlotte, brother, I got to look you up and see what you're talking about up there. So again, all right, y'all, let's get to it, man. The never-ending saga of Matt Ryan and the love affair with the fans. This is not an answer. This is not expected to stop it. Nobody's telling anybody to stop it. Matt Ryan, as long as Matt Ryan is our quarterback, folks are going to have either positive things or negative or in the middle. I think I consider myself pretty much in the middle type of person. As I post my little sanctuary, just to show people, I'm going to switch up the jerseys during the week, depending on who's doing well. during the game. So get ready to see that quote unquote locker room change. But because of the topic today, I thought it was nice for us to put a little bit up there about our quarterback. And folks, let's not get it twisted. This is our quarterback right now in 2021. It is one Matt Ryan. I go back and forth sometimes with folks, and not in an intentional way to start things up or to be negative or anything like that. But I ask the questions of folks who have this blind loyalty to Matt, the individual, to understand why fans like myself and others aren't quite convinced whether Matt is the quarterback to take us into this next decade. I think the part that's hard to separate for those diehard player fans is when you're trying to, I guess, lay blame on them. For Matt Ryan, it's a hard situation. It is tough. You got a lot of firsts when you start talking about Matt Ryan with this organization. Matt Ryan is the first quarterback to lead us to back-to-back winning seasons, 5 straight winning seasons, I may add. He's the first quarterback to have 3 consecutive playoff seasons. He's the first quarterback to garner an MVP from the league. And he's the longest tenured Atlanta Falcon quarterback. He's coming close to being the longest tenured fan, period. So we're when you start talking about Matt Ryan, you're talking about Atlanta Falcon history. Arguably the greatest player in Atlanta Falcons history. No doubt. Nobody's trying to tarnish that about him. Not at all. But I think the realities have to set in at some point. First 5 years notwithstanding, because the first 5 years, I'm telling you, Matt Ryan, he gave this franchise, he gave this fan base something to believe in. He gave this fan base something that we had not had in Atlanta Falcons franchise history, was consistent winning. Yes, we were missing a couple of pieces here and there, but at least we were in the conversation. Prior to 2008, yeah, we had a couple of blips on the screen. For those who want to bring up the 1 or 2 years with Matt Ryan, for those of you who want to do that, I understand that. I think what happens is after a while, you start to wonder if he's going to get it back. I want him to get it. Listen, as an Atlanta Falcon fan, obviously, I want him to get it back. So when you hear negativity about Matt Ryan, it's because he is the quarterback. I don't know how many times I have to explain that to folks. Nobody's caring about Grady Jarrett not getting double-digit sacks. No one cares about Calvin Ridley having the second-team All-Pro year that he had. Nobody is caring about whether Deion Jones had 100 tackles this year. Nobody is talking about how many pancakes did Jake Matthews get playing left tackle this year and how he graded out as a top 10 left tackle last year. Nobody talks about that. You know what they talk about? When we win or when we lose, it starts with your quarterback. That's not different from any other franchise in the NFL. Folks, it's not. Say what we want about the Julio Jones saga. When the Julio Jones was here, yes, people talked about him. But there were very rare people that said, you know what? Julio is the absolute person we need to get off in order for us to win. Is he a big factor? Was he? Absolutely. But the narrative for all 32 teams in the NFL starts with that high-paying position of quarterback. And if you look up and are able to get a quarterback where you could take advantage of those first 5 years, see Patrick Mahomes before this big contract, see Russell Wilson, see Aaron Rodgers. When you can take advantage of those first 5 years, you look like a genius. The GM looks like straight genius. But honest and truly, you probably lucked up. Matt Ryan has been here a long time, folks. Matt Ryan has been a better than average NFL quarterback. Some years, very good. 1 year, elite. But at the end of the day, it's always about what have you done lately? There are some that want you to remember 2008 to 2016, but want to conveniently skip over 17. Yes, I know we made the playoffs, but Matt had an awful year by his terms. And want to talk about glossy stats in 2018 and even last year, where his touchdown to ratio percentage ratio wasn't that bad. But good grief, when he threw the interceptions, there should be a stat that not only talks about interceptions, but talk about when they happen. That's the key. Russ said, I'm coming down for the Thursday night game against the Pats with my cousin. He lives in Greenville and his Pat fans. I told him if he wears TB12 jersey to the game, I ain't helping him if he gets jumped. Let's hope it's enough people down there. By then, there'll probably be a lot of Brady fans. Tampa Bay travels well, though. Tampa Bay fans travel well here. Probably next to New Orleans. Tampa Bay fans actually travel well. Greg says, give Matt a fair shake. It's a love-hate relationship with Matt. Coaching was a major factor, and the constant OCs didn't help matters either. I'm a fan of the emblem. Tannehill is nowhere near. And listen, Greg, and I think that's the thing that I think we have to establish when we start talking about the fandom versus listen, y'all know me. I'm not speaking from a former player, former coach, former media. I'm speaking from a straight fan from a fan's point of view. And the bottom line, as a fan, all I know is under Matt, over the last few years, we have not won since 2017. For those who want to hurry up and go to the stats, I sit back and I just say, folks, you can't do that. You can't. And when you look at other franchises that turn the page, folks, Carolina, turn the page. And I'm telling y'all, listen, Brees was about to get 1 or 2 more years, folks. Drew Brees was not going to stay there forever, which he did, I guess, in a certain way. But I think Sean Payton was that string to pull him out wasn't as long as y'all think it is. Because Drew Brees really did not show up the last couple of years as he normally does. He has his 1 or 2 games a year where he really shows up. But Drew Brees held this team back the last 2 years or 3 years. He held the Saints back. Thank goodness. Because Lord knows we didn't need another Super Bowl from them. Look at the teams that turned the page. Philadelphia won a championship. Yes, albeit with Nick Foles. But Carson Wentz got them there with the 11-12 wins. Turn the page. San Francisco, 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. Turn the page. So it's not an indictment that as fans, I don't aspire to be a general manager. I don't aspire to be a head coach. But I'm telling you, as a fan, and the feeling that I get when I see the leader of my team march out there time and time again, it wasn't like in 2008 through 12, where at least when he came back, he had that little clutch gene with him. Now he comes out there, and I'm sitting there just hoping and praying that they don't kill him, which isn't his fault, or he can throw the ball where it's supposed to go. And he does most of the time, 65% percentage completion percentage. That doesn't happen overnight. The works on the craft. But still doesn't change the fact that he is not pushing his team to victory. One of my buddies, I just finished talking to Matthew Steele, and he told me he was going to pay attention to this afterwards. We were going a little bit back and forth, and he kept bringing up the stats, and I kept telling him, listen, I don't care that 2018's numbers were great. Yes, you had a defense to overcome, but that means you have to push harder. And I brought up Russell Wilson, and I brought up Aaron Rodgers. Folks, Aaron Rodgers does not have a killer defense every year. I don't care what the yards say. And when they say about he's the top 10, the top 15 defense. Folks, Green Bay's defense, last year they were good, but it's not like Aaron Rodgers has touted these top 10 defenses every year. And because if he had, trust me, they have at least 2 more rings. Russell Wilson, I bring him up. I always bring him up. He had the benefit of the Legion of Boom in their prime. Probably should have 2 rings. And also the caveat of during his rookie season. And during that time, he learned how to win as a quarterback. Now, since they slowly disintegrated and the Legion of Boom went their own ways and some retired and whatever, Russell Wilson continues to be the quarterback that pushes them over the top. Even with an awful defense, and contrary to what Mr. Steele was trying to tell me, their running backs are garbage. 1,000 yards for a running back is only about 60 yards a game. Don't come to me with 1,000 yards anymore. A good running back these days gets you 1,500. A real running back. A productive running back. Now, unless you're spreading the wealth. But Russell has had to overcome that, folks. So, fair or not fair, Matt has not completed the job. Is it all his fault? No. No, it's not all his fault. And I hope people go to this part of the tape instead of going to the part about the criticism. No, we have completely fixed. We have defensive as a whole, period, problems we haven't fixed. But the great ones find a way. Tom Brady, for keeping it totally real, only in the last 3 to 4 or 5 years of his New England run did the defense were they stellar. Tom Brady went through different receivers, different running backs, different folks, and still continued to win. Yes, I know Josh McDaniel was the steady OC. Most of that, I get that. That does help. Matt has had a stable OC, but you know what? Again, no excuses. Great quarterbacks push through. And they find a way. Gregor says we're not talking Derrick Henry. People throw that in the mix with speaking quarterbacks. This for the critics and the naysayers. Let me get to some of y'all, and I apologize. I got on my soapbox. Lynn says, how you doing, Lynn? Say, I'm a diehard Falcon fan. Maybe this year with the coaching changes, maybe things will go in our direction. I don't want to judge, but it's a team sport, and it takes all players to get the win. And I hear you, Lynn. Lynn, I hear you. 100%. It does, Lynn. And I see you always come through, and I appreciate you when you do. But Lynn, let's keep it real. Does anyone care if Grady Jarrett gets double-digit sacks? If they look at the record at 4-12 last year, are they going to go to Grady Jarrett and say, what did Grady Jarrett do? Are they going to go to Deion Jones and say, what did Deion Jones do? Are they going to say that A.J. Terrell come through as a rookie? No, they're going to go to the $30 million plus quarterback. That's the barometer of your team, win or lose. If Matt Ryan wins, we aren't having these conversations. We aren't having the divisiveness we've had in the group. No one is saying it's all his fault. For everybody who doesn't think we understand that it's a team game, we absolutely do. But most of the time, when you see the successful teams, most of the successful teams have a great quarterback. And for those of you who want to throw Philadelphia up at the minute and say Nick Foles won one, Brad Johnson won one with Tampa Bay, Baltimore won one with Trent Dilfer, I'm not talking about those little spot chances where they had super awesome defenses that they overcame what your offense could do. I'm not talking about that. You're absolutely right. It is a team sport. No one's overlooking that. And if you notice, no one is 100% throwing the blame on Matt Ryan. But I'm telling you, perception, folks, please stop acting like perception. If you go and you see me and I have a suit on and a bow tie and the cleanest suit in the world and whatever, you wouldn't know I'm a mailman. You would assume I'm doing something else. Let's not play. If you're winning, folks, the conversation stops. The team stops and whatever. Because on the same page, those of you who want to grow to the team thing, why bring up his stats then? No, I'm not saying you, Lynn, you didn't bring that up. But those of you who are so quick to, well, he threw for 4,000 yards, but he didn't win. Well, it's a team sport. Those are the next two answers. Anytime you give criticism, it's those two answers. First answer is he's thrown for 4,000 yards. Then when you battle that, the second answer is, well, it's a team sport. And then usually the third answer is, well, he's changed OCs. 14 years is probably a good chance you are going to change OCs a couple of times. Every situation isn't New England. But I get what you're saying. Going on, Joe. How you doing, brother? Good. Thank you for hollering at me. Rusty says, in a perfect world, we can copy San Francisco, build that roster up for 2 or 3 years, and then bring in your rookie quarterback onto a loaded roster. Trey Lance should be counting his blessings. Say what you want to say about Kyle, but him and John Lynch have that roster stacked. I've never criticized Kyle like that. Kyle Shanahan is one of the main reasons we made it to the Super Bowl. And Kyle Shanahan should have another Super Bowl ring in his pocket. Winston, Chargers got off Rivers and Herbert, who I thought was the steal of the draft, and I'm an Oregon fan. Listen, Winston, you're bringing them up again. Franchise are changing. And I think the frustrating thing is, listen, in the case of San Francisco, which is the boldest move, again, Frisco 1 year removed from the Super Bowl. And they went up to number 3 and got a spanking new quarterback because Kyle Shanahan says, I'm not going to wait 3 years to see if we can do it, if we can do it, if we can do it. I'm going to try to see, and who knows, maybe Lance will challenge Jimmy G. Maybe Jimmy G will go to a different gear. Look up in New England what they're doing with Cam Newton. They brought in Matt Jones, which a lot of buzz has it that the players are gravitating to Matt Jones. If you don't think for 1 minute that's going to motivate Cam Newton to do better, I think that's the only thing here. We've sat behind Matt Ryan for years and years, and we haven't had the opportunity to see if there was something or someone that could push him. And again, huge asterisk, y'all. Huge asterisk. No one's saying Matt isn't good. But as great as everyone wants to make him, 7-9, 7-9, and 4-12 just aren't backing him up. 4,000 yards means nothing today if you're not winning. I'd rather have 3,000 yards in 11-5, and this year 11-6. So that means nothing to me. Orion said Matt has never been a terrible quarterback, and his good years are gone. His arm strength is not the same as it's gone. That's just it, Orion. It's not a criticism. You're spot on. And I'll go one step further, Orion. I don't even think his arm strength is horrific right now. It was nowhere where it was 2000, early 2010s. And he's not the worst quarterback by far. I'd say he's closer to the middle of the pack going top than he is near the bottom. But it is evident that he doesn't hit him like he used to. And we've got to understand, folks, it's not personal. Dude, I don't have these Matt Ryan jerseys just to show him off. I support the dude. I'm supporting him this year. He's our quarterback. In order for the Atlanta Falcons to win this year, we have to protect number 2. We have to do everything in our power to get number 2 the best protection, the best plays, and put him in the best positions to win. And I have the confidence that Arthur Smith wouldn't take this job knowing that he had a chance that he might have Matt Ryan on this roster and he was going to have to work with him. I'm sure he thought about that before he even signed the contract. Anthony said, Matt can change that if he becomes clutch when needed in games and win. The mediocrity and losing has gotten fans tired of more of the same. I wish Matt well, but stats are not going to get it if they don't produce wins. Folks, I don't even know how to follow that. I mean, I don't understand what part of what Anthony has in this response that folks don't understand. Trust me, if Matt turns around and, as he says, is clutch and comes through with more wins than losses, folks, welcome back. Open arms. But right now, he's not doing it. And we've had too many. Look, the offseason for 2018 was long. The offseason for 2019 was longer. And definitely the one for last year when you have 4 wins. Fans are uptight. Fans are upset. On top of pandemic stuff that we just can't go out and just, But now that we are this year, and I'm trying to tell you folks, this year, especially folks coming back to that stadium, people are going to be energized. And I'm trying to tell you, folks not going to be putting up with this nonsense. If we don't win, and that's not only Matt, that's the defense. Look, all I've heard about Dean Pease and all I've heard about what Arthur Smith's going to do with the offense, they better not come back and run 4 wins back up on this board. We better figure it out. We've got to. Jimmy says, give my man his shot. He'll be consistent. We just as a team need to get better consistency altogether. Jimmy, nobody's debating whether the team needs to get consistent. Again, and by no means am I trying to say Ben Simmons was better than Joel Embiid. Your star players are counted on to come through. Your star players are counted on to deliver. When Ben Simmons didn't deliver as a star player on his team, he was criticized. Shoot, even in the finals right now, if Chris Paul throws too many turnovers or gives the ball away too many times on the court, he's criticized. When Matt Ryan can put up 300 plus yards, but then throw an interception at the end to lose the game, he's going to get criticized. And folks, I don't care if he's 65% completion percentage. I don't care if he throws close to 30 touchdowns. I don't care that he has 4,000 plus yards. What I care about is at the end of the game, he's not going into victory formation and going to a knee. That's what I care about. Going back to Anthony, the clutch gene. When's the last time we truly saw him be clutch at the end? In fairness to Jimmy, everybody's got to be clutch. Defense has got to be clutch. Special teams has to be clutch. Cool, missed a couple of chips last year that cost us. Everybody's got to be clutch. But folks, if you don't think for 1 minute the microscope is more focused on Matt Ryan, you can't do that. You can't take the microscope, go buy your $30 million quarterback and start talking about all the other deficiencies. We pay him $30 million for a reason. The quarterback position is the highest paid on the team for a reason. Because there are some quarterbacks that can overcome. And we have to do that. Anthony says the Russell Wilson apology was a perfect example, Steve. Thanks, bro. I mean, you know, hey, man. Brother John, I knew he was coming. When I tell you that a duck can pull a truck, etc., arm strength and Ryan should never be mentioned in the same sentence. And Ryan needs to protect himself. The fact that he's had the second longest time to throw in the league last year, so that means he needs to get his hind in gear. And folks, that's. I mean, I know there are some that are just ready to cradle him and protect him and keep him in the crib and just any person that has any type of criticism towards him will automatically get trolled and beat up. But folks, it's the quarterback. He's got to come through. I'm trying to see where is this? Say Wilson's running backs were not garbage last year. Their running backs could move the ball. Carson was averaging almost 5 yards a carry, and you bring up Rodgers. He didn't win when his defense sucked. They were trying to replace him. Actually, Aaron Rodgers, I'm trying to think, has Aaron Rodgers even had a losing season? Hold on 1 second. He might have, but I know it's not as many as Matt Ryan. I know it's not 3 years in a row. They were trying to, most teams are successful, have multifaceted attacks. Go look at where the teams rank throughout the year in defense, and you have a key indicator for playoff contenders. Not taking any blame from Ryan, you just did, for his faults, but call it out. He has not done well. You just defended him. And again, I'm not gonna tell y'all to stop defending him. Y'all can defend him till the cows come home. Folks, go outside. What I want y'all to do is I want y'all to go outside the Atlanta fan base. Go outside Atlanta. And when I get the great chance to travel, and I'm sure most of you do too, ask other people what they think about the Atlanta Falcons. And the one question, I'm not making this up just for the sake of this live spot. The one question that is consistent that they ask is, why do y'all still have Matt Ryan? And it's not, and sometimes I have to be careful because some folks don't keep up with the inner workings of the Falcons. Like, I mean, if a Cincinnati Bengals fan comes up to me and I just make a blanket statement that, oh, your defense sucks or whatever, and I honestly don't know much about Cincinnati aside of the Stars and what their record is. So sometimes they're coming at you kind of uneducated, but it's the same question. So, and I hope that even in this conversation that you hear me and hear me good. I support Matthew Ryan right now on this team because he's the quarterback here. But if you ask me, do we need to think about our future immediately? The answer is yes. Now, Arthur Smith comes in here and has the most dynamic program that turns Matt Ryan into some facsimile of what he was back in 2016. I'll be the first person at the end of 2020, at the end of the 2021 season, to stand up in front of y'all and say, you know what? I was absolutely wrong. Matt Ryan had a little bit left in the tank. But if we come back here to the end of 2021 with a losing record, folks, and I say a losing record, anything less than 9 wins, when we would have had the opportunity to that same time that you would have with a young quarterback to get them through that. See, I can accept a young quarterback his first year with a losing record. But you're telling me when we made the decision to restructure Matt, you're telling me and you're telling the fan base that you're saying I can turn this around. I can make Matt Ryan a winner again. Anything less than a winning season is truly unacceptable. And honestly, anything less than playoffs is unacceptable. Because you're telling me you can fix it. And I realized there were financial ramifications and all of that. So before anybody starts throwing that at me. Jimmy says, man, John Harris hates Matt. Hell, most of us don't know our jobs or we're overqualified, but yet we get our chance. Stop looking out for everything bad on Matt. No, I'm going to let y'all go with each other. What I hear is we're counting on y'all to beat New England. What happened? Then y'all had them beat. Listen, again, I don't want to. Again, this is not a bash Matt Ryan thing. This isn't. And if you listen to my voice and you listen to what I'm saying, folks, this is not the bash Matt Ryan show. This is the understand why we are frustrated. And I go back to, and then for some reason I can't see on the StreamYard, I can't see who wrote the soliloquy about Russell Wilson and his quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers is not coming through. But I appreciate the feedback. And I'm not, I'll do one thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk back and forth to you. So I appreciate you coming through, but I can't see who it is because of my screen. I apologize. But those situations, if you go and look again, when you talk about Russell Wilson, ask Russell. Nah, I can't say ask Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson is the biggest, which makes him a great leader because he takes up for his folks, and Matt does too. So let me stop that. Matt Ryan, as a leader, Matt Ryan is awesome. Not saying he's not. That's not where I'm coming from. That's not where I'm coming from. What I'm saying is, has Matt Ryan's ability to push through all that's negative and come out on top and push and will his team to a win, is that over with? For those of you who want to bring up top 10 defenses and all this and all that, there's also the fan that always wants to bring up, Matt's never had a top 10 defense. Matt's been here 14 years, folks. So, yes, whether the team has failed to assemble a great defense or not, it didn't stop them in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, or 17. As a matter of fact, a couple of those years, I'm trying to think, that was the year we went against New York and got shellacked up there by the Giants and scored one safety. We weren't exactly lighting up the scoreboard then. 2017 clearly was offensive when we went from the change from Shanahan to Sarkisian, who righted the ship in 2018 with his offense. But nevertheless, we don't want to talk about those seasons with Matt. There's some of y'all that think Matt has been all pro for all 14 years. Matt at the time was the best thing that happened to this franchise. Without a doubt. Passionate about that too. Ring of Honor, already need to save the space. Hall of Fame, depends on some factors here. Not even necessarily a championship. His barometer, Matt Ryan's barometer is going to be Phillip Rivers. If Phillip Rivers makes it into the Hall of Fame, Matt Ryan's a shoe-in. I'm waiting to see what happens with Phillip Rivers. That will be the telltale sign of Matt Ryan. Anthony says, Steve, you're 100% correct. I get the questions all the time about why we still have Matt Ryan. I defend him, although the question runs all through me with frustration because it gets hard to defend. And I'm going to take what Anthony said, and it's not a love fest with me and Anthony. Anthony just happens to come on here and say things that I just happen to agree with. When those fans come at you, again, in our forum, we can battle back and forth and talk about the pluses, the pros and cons of Matt. Outside, folks, I'm talking Matt up like he's Tom Brady 2.0. Trust me. Outside of the forum with the Falcon fans, Matt Ryan is the best quarterback since Otto Graham. Look it up. Google it for you old, younger people. I mean, that's how my fandom goes. So when I'm having conversation with my fellow fans, I'm going to be more specific, and we're going to have more down home talk. So I feel like I'm with family here. So we might disagree about some things, but at least I'm going to be honest about what it is. Now, when game time comes on from 1 o'clock to 4:15 or whatever time it is, do we play in a game? Oh, no, I'm pro 100% Matt Ryan, greatest quarterback in the history of the world. But when it's downtime and I'm looking at a 4-12 season and I've had more than 6 months to think about why we were 4-12, aside of the defense, aside of offensive line woes, I'm going to look at the most expensive player on the team. Folks, that's Matt Ryan. It's not Grady Jarrett. It's not Deion Jones. It's not A.J. Terrell. It's not Jake Matthews. It's Matt Ryan. And to be quite honest with you, the rest of the world, the rest of the football world, probably don't even know who the other 4 people I just named are. They have Matt Ryan synonymous with the Falcons. And there are some people, and look, I'm going to tell you, there's probably some uneducated NFL fans that don't know about the Atlanta Falcons. They'll probably come up to you and say, oh, y'all still got Matt Ryan? Guarantee you that's the thing. I guarantee you. Cam says Matt has been the longest tenured quarterback in Falcons history. He's been a good to decent quarterback with 1 MVP season, and that was one hell of a season. Nothing but facts. Nothing but facts. And listen, I would still have something more to defend if Matt, comes through. There's another CP Trucker. I know who you are. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. I mean, so I would. Folks, don't forget I'm cross-promoting. Y'all go to the y'all subscribe on the YouTube channel, Uncle Steve's Lounge, if y'all got a chance. Dude, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this for the next few months, so we might as well get started now. My brother Tidy has checked in. What's going on, man? I'll tell y'all about Tidy, man. Tidy is, and the one thing I like about we have disagreed is about things before in the past, and whether we have personal disagreements about it. He's an Atlanta Falcon fan. Folks, if just because an Atlanta Falcon fan cannot be enamored with Matt Ryan. Because before Matt Ryan was here, we were still Falcon fans. After Matt Ryan leaves, we're still Falcon fans. And I just bring him up because I was just the first person I thought about. John Harris, as much as I know there's vitriol, y'all don't get it because y'all don't know him like I do. John Harris is probably one of the biggest Atlanta Falcon fans ever and probably goes way back more than y'all think he does. He will stomp, fight, whatever, talk about his Falcons if somebody come at him. But when we lose, you going to get the truth. You're going to get the truth. It might be hard, but you're going to get it. Tidy says the Athletic reported that Terry didn't want to restructure Matt. However, he had no choice. It was either that or Deion Jones, and I did see that. And that if you all remember, I was telling somebody that in a post we were talking about either yesterday or the day before. I was saying that from the time they hired Terry and Arthur, key things that I listen out for new regime. When they come in, I listen to see where their loyalties are. And granted, when you're coming in for a team that's had 3 straight losing seasons, there's probably not a lot of loyalties anywhere. But if I have, which a lot of folks think that Matt Ryan is this first ballot Hall of Fame player, or even Julio Jones as this, which I think he is a first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver, the first thing you listen out for is for those guys to say, well, I'm not stupid. We have 2 of the most talented guys in the NFL, and we're going to try to build something around them. And you didn't hear that pre-restructure. You didn't. And I even made note of it. When he had the first press conference, I came out here and I came live that Sunday, and the first thing I said is what I love about Terry Fontenot is that he didn't show his hand. Because I bet you behind the scenes, they were looking for every single team up and down the list. Yes, probably including Houston too. Yes, probably including some other places to try to see if anybody would be foolish enough to take that Matt Ryan contract off their hands. And when they found out that that was their best ability and the best thing they could do to fit all the salaries in and do what they did, of course they had to make that move. And the one thing you just don't know, Deion Jones, I think when they signed him to the contract, I think the thought that he was going to be the next level linebacker, he kind of falls in line with Matt. He's a good to sometimes can be very good linebacker, but he hasn't quite gotten that over the top yet. But I think you would tend to want to keep Deion around. So I understand that, folks. I understand that. But yeah, thank you, Toddy. I appreciate that. I went to that already. John Harris says Falcons have had top 10 defenses at least twice during this tenure here, but defenses don't put points on the board. So defenses don't win championships. And I know, John, for those of you who don't know, he's a big proponent about offenses win championships. I know everybody, the mantra is defense win championships. But he has a good point. Offense has won the championship against us. I say that. We have never had a top 10 defense on any level, especially a top 10 one. Oh, well. Titan says, John and I had dinner not long ago, and we both agreed if Vic was still here and we're coming off 3 consecutive losing seasons after the 28-3 debacle, we'd be lighting Vic's ass up with online criticism. Also, ESPN, if he was making the same money. See, and those are the things that people don't want to talk about too. Mike Vick didn't come up through this social media age right now. Folks, it's totally different. The 70s and 80s, if you had a quarterback, folks weren't talking about getting rid of a quarterback. You were just like, well, we're just not going to get any better. Archie Manning stayed on the New Orleans Saints for at least, 8, 9 years? And Archie Manning, who was not a bad quarterback, by the way. But New Orleans could never win. And they hung on to him because that's just what you did. To y'all point, if Mike Vick were put into this situation right here and we had 3 straight losing seasons, folks, y'all would be calling for his head. There are folks now, I talked to a Baltimore fan at my work, and he will tell you that Lamar Jackson should be cut from the Baltimore Ravens. He will tell you that. And I'm sitting over here as a guy who's had team lose 3 years in a row, saying to myself, dude, are you crazy? But again, I don't know that fan base. I don't know what those folks are talking about. He might have a good point. But that's when we have to be careful because we're not in those places. Right now with us, I'm trying to tell you, it's different. CP says, I always believe Matt is protected by Blank and McKay. There was no way in hell 45 was going to be restructured before Matt. Yeah, and I think the ability to open up more money probably was more attractive than, doing whatever you needed to do with Dion. You freed up, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the move that had to get us underneath the salary cap at the beginning of the business year. So we had to do what we had to do. Again, stay tuned because with that salary cap making that gigantic jump, you can absorb horrible hits next year. So don't be shocked, y'all. I'm telling you, if Matt doesn't come through, don't be shocked next year this time. I'm hoping we don't have that conversation. I hope next time this year we sit back and there is no talk about Matt Ryan leaving and whatever, because Matt Ryan just led us to an 11-6 season, wild card or division winner, whatever, and win a playoff game. I hope we do have that conversation. I do. And nobody is willing a losing season on Matt Ryan or wanting Matt Ryan to fail. Folks, I want my quarterback to win. But these things have to be brought up. And it's amazing to me. Again, I try my best not to get in folks' pocket. But the man is making $30+ million. In the last 3 years, we've gone 18-30. I know there are a lot of shortcomings on this team, but that's a fact. Brandon, what's going on, Brandon? Say, to be fair to Debo, he hasn't had no big space eaters in front of him. Yeah, that's true. And this year with the defensive line, we never got a lot of Marlon Davison last year, 100% healthy. I look forward to seeing what that's going to turn out to be. And then just seeing what Dean Pease is going to do with this defense. That's going to be important. It's going to be important to Matt Ryan. For the defense to be able for us to first get a running game to keep the defense off the field. There were too many times last year where you went 1, 2, 3 passes, 10 seconds goes off the clock, and you got the defense coming right back on the field. I don't care if you are the 85 Bears, you're going to get tired. So we got to figure that out. Brandon, every time Brady wins, his defense is top 10. Ryan ain't above criticism, but a rookie quarterback makes this team worse right now. Lamar's not a quarterback. Here's the thing I'll go back to, Brandon, again, because I'm forecasting now. So let's hope that this doesn't happen. So let me go back and hope this doesn't happen. When you start talking about Matt Ryan, let's hope Matt Ryan is successful. Let's hope we're not having the conversation next year that we went 8-9, 7-10, or something like that. I think my point is, if we are 7-10, 8-9, 6-11, it's going to look like wasted opportunity, because my point is a rookie quarterback who would have had to go through bumps and bruises, because a lot of rookie quarterbacks don't come out winning. We have one. Matt Ryan came out guns blazing, 10-6. But because rookie quarterbacks don't exactly come into winning seasons in their first year, my point is, if we had drafted a rookie, whether it been Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whoever, Matt Jones, whatever, had we given that the opportunity to go through that type of season, like Joe Burrows, I know before he got hurt or whatever, like Justin Herbert, if we given those opportunities, then that would be their mulligan. That would be their learning, their growing. But if we have Matt Ryan and your thought is you're going to turn this team around, and you have anything less than 9 wins, it seems like you're stunning the rest of the team. The rest of this team is young. This is not an old team. Your most experience is at the quarterback position. And aside of these one-off free agents that we end up picking up, the majority of these guys are not very old. So you got Matt Ryan, and that's it. And this one thing, if you had Matt Ryan and he was that clutch where he was leading us to wins, but he's not right now. I'm not saying he can't, but I am saying we have to look and see if we're really helping ourselves. I hope I apologize about this next year. I hope I do. But it's in the top of my head as I hear people make excuses time and time again for Matt. I have to bring it up. Chadwick said we did the same with Bart. Well, the difference is, again, Chadwick, and probably because you know back then, things were different back then. Free agency wasn't what it was. These just out of the world salaries weren't around back then. NFL was popular, but it wasn't the monster and the billion dollar conglomerate that it is right now. If you were a quarterback and you got drafted, chances are, unless you just truly stunk, if you were an average quarterback, you just stayed on the team. And Bartkowski, he did during his peak years, which I would say was 78 to 80 and 81. He had a good year, 81 too. I think right before he got hurt. But during those peak years, we actually had a pretty good defense. So, yeah, the same, but not the same. Totally different eras. Brandon, what else do the Falcons do well besides pass the ball? Special teams, aside at the end of Kansas City. Not a lot. Jimmy, you still going it, John. I'm gonna let y'all two battle it out. Arlen, when do we draft a quarterback for the future? 2022 or 23? I say 22 and let them sit for you. See, and Arlen, here's the deal. That's why when folks were saying that, Arlen, this year, when people were talking about why would you draft a quarterback and sit him for 2 years? One, no guarantee if you might sit him for 2 years. If Matt doesn't do the job, you let the other guy come in. And two, the year that you're talking about to sit, we have stunted that. Now we're pushing it back another year. Because the biggest if of this situation, if Matt Ryan doesn't bounce back, folks, we wasted a year. If the defense improves and everything goes as according to plan, but Matt doesn't have a good year and bounce us in, folks, I'm telling you, this was a wasted year. That's why anything less than playoffs this year, folks, you got to start thinking about the future. And you got to start thinking about it quick. They got seats to sell at this dome. They got fans they need to get back. There are a lot of things this organization needs to do. And this is a huge year for Matt. I saw this thing on there where they were somebody posted about prove it years for Atlanta Falcons, and Matt wasn't on the list. I was like, okay. As somebody who's friends with him, which I don't have a problem with. But Brandon, why do we think Ryan can overcome poor coaching, horrible defense, and absence of a running game? He's not that good to transcend all these deficiencies. He was good enough in 2008 to 2012. It's like Mike McCarthy was not Mike McCarthy. Mike Mularkey was the best OC in the world, folks. We were running him out of this city before then. He was overcoming it when he was younger. We didn't have a great defense when Matt first got here. We didn't have an awesome O-line. He did have Michael Turner. But let's stop making excuses for the highest paid person on the team. You can't do that. You call them out in basketball. When they make all the money in basketball, you call them out. That's a team sport too. I know it's 5, but it's still a team sport. It's almost like we can't touch Matt Ryan and blame every other aspect of it. You can't do that. You can't do it. Watch when Trae Young signs this max deal, how many people start coming for him. Oh, he's the belle of the ball now. When he signs that contract, oh, they coming. Kansas City. There are folks last year that want to absolutely blame Patrick Mahomes for the loss, not knowing that he had no bookends blocking for him. What was Patrick Mahomes doing? What was he throwing? What was he doing? Because now he's getting paid. Folks, I'm sorry. This is Matt Ryan's second huge contract. He earned it the first time. This second time, you got to start thinking about that money you're paying out. Yes, I'm sorry. Armani, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. John Harris, oh no, playoffs are not good enough. It's Super Bowl or bust. That's what it should be. That's what it should be. Tidy, it's not always coaching. A good bit of time is the players. Absolutely. Players got to play. I think sometimes coaches get a bad rep. And listen, I get it. To a certain extent, Brandon, we all grasping for straws, man. As fans, again, I don't claim to be expert on any more than you claim to be an expert. But I will say this. As a fan, I have the absolute right to be disappointed. And I'm disappointed in what I see from my quarterback. I'm sorry. And I look there first. I don't look at the O-line first. I don't look at the running back situation first. I don't look at the defense first. I look at my quarterback first. Now, notice what I'm saying before you reply, anybody. I didn't say those other things don't matter. Of course, your offensive line matters. Of course, a defense being able to hold a team out the end zone matters. But I look towards the number one most polarizing position in North American sports. Folks, that's the quarterback. It's not starting pitcher for the Yankees. It's not a midfielder in soccer. It's not a center in hockey. It is the quarterback. And until we get that through our heads that that's just going to be the expectation, I need my quarterback to push through. And Matt does it this year. I'm telling you, I will be the first to sit up here and say I was absolutely wrong. Brandon said, if it's not coaching, why isn't Quinn here or any of his staff here? Oh, I didn't say it wasn't coaching. I didn't say it wasn't totally coaching. Okay, add coaching to that list. Add coaching to that list. Still, the quarterback. You don't think for one man Aaron Rodgers makes all of his quarterbacks look good? I know McCarthy got out of there, but he still made him look good. He made McCarthy better than he was. Quarterbacks tend to do that. Bill Belichick is great. But ask Bill Belichick how it was last year without number 12 behind him. Ask him, does he want to go through that again? We got that Cleveland Browns Bill Belichick last year. You can have all the best plans in the world, but if you don't have the player that's coming through. Chad, we need to pay Koo too. He is the man. Koo, I mean, they signed him to a 1-year tender. And the problem you're going to have with that, Chadwick, is, look, special teams, as great as he was last year, and trust me, a sans the Kansas City game, he was pretty clutch during the year. Yeah, you can't focus on special teams, guys. You can't. You can't focus your money there. And we're in so much strife right now financially I hope we're able to keep him around. Let's see what he does for one more year. But I hope we can keep him around, but he's not a priority. He can't be. Brandon says quarterbacks don't make a team. Quarterbacks complement a team. You still need players around him. Brandon, I think you're missing the whole thing. You're missing what I'm saying, brother. I hear what you're saying. Matt Ryan is the face. He's the barometer. He's the whether he planned it that way or not. That is your quarterback. When New England wins and Tom Brady has a bad game, Tom Brady wins. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson is not accurate worth a dang. Baltimore wins. Lamar Jackson. So when you start looking at quarterbacks and winning is synonymous with your quarterback play. There are so few teams that you look at these days that you say, "Oh, that's a good team, but that quarterback stinks," and they're still 12-4. I mean, so I'm not gonna sit here and try to act like that doesn't make a difference. Matt Ryan has to push through. Tidy says Ryan also thought Quinn was amazing and went to bat for him. True. Quinn, I don't know, and I said I don't have any insight or whatever, but judging by what the rumors are that Julio wasn't quite happy about the Quinn dismissal and things of that nature, I think Quinn got a little too close to those guys, because that's the problem when you have a players coach. Sometimes those players coaches might tend to really coddle those guys more than they should. And I think in that locker room, I think they were still sniffing off the air of 2016 and 2017. Brandon says Ryan doesn't throw anyone under the bus. That's nothing new. He's not Aaron or Russell. Problem is Aaron and Russell have a championship that they can probably call people out, and people will look at it as being a leader. Matt Ryan is a great leader. If you probably tuned in late to hear that, Brandon, nobody's questioning Ryan as a leader unless you're talking to somebody else. Ryan is a great leader. That was one of the first things I said when I first started. And one of the things that, and probably have to reboot the whole conversation just to say, listen, y'all, nobody's saying Matt Ryan isn't a good quarterback. No one's saying Matt Ryan can't turn this around. But guess what, folks? Y'all gonna have to show me as a fan. You got to show me. You could tell me everything about the defense, everything about the offense, but listen, you can tell me everything about how the offensive line isn't blocking, how the running backs aren't running, how the defense aren't doing all that. And I'm telling you, I know I keep going to this example, but I go look up in Seattle. Folks, if you're going to sit here and try to convince me Chris Carson is good, then I'm sorry, folks. You just lost credibility with me. And Rashard Penny, I think that's his name, the cat they got, and he hadn't turned out to be anything. He hasn't had a running game since Marshawn Lynch hung him up. And the defense he's got, he's having to make up for defensive inadequacies every week, with the exception of Bobby Wagner. I mean, now he has Jamal Adams, but that's just this past year. And that wasn't enough to get past the first round. So quarterback play means everything, y'all. Tidy says, look at Belichick's record with and without TB12. Eye opener. I mean, it's real. It's real. And Belichick won't say it. Of course, he's not going to come out and say it. Belichick is garbage without Tom Brady. Straight garbage. So anybody want to look it up, go look at the Cleveland tenure before y'all start saying, Belichick, horrible. Go look. Amon says, Uncle Steve, they don't want to hear what you're talking about. People are scared of the truth. And listen, you know what? I'm at a point where I'm so much on money. Like, I love hearing the debate, long as you're respectful. I don't mind you disagreeing with me. I'm just going to tell you how I feel too. I want Matt to win. But after 3 years of disappointment, out of 3 years of not seeing him have one clutch moment, not one. All I say is, Ryan, just don't give me confidence in him. He's a really good quarterback, but not elite to cover up the team's weak spots. Bingo. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Good quarterbacks, and more importantly, great quarterbacks compensate for deficiencies in other areas. He said it. It's perfect. That's why Matt will never get that love. He got the love for 1 year when he did cover up for a lot of things in 2016. Julio was off the field a little bit. The defense had to grow during that first part of the year. But Matt held it down long enough for the defense to get themselves together and then push through. CP says, yeah, look at Walsh before Montana. Absolutely. Before Joe Montana got there, Bill Walsh was not looked as the guru genius that he is. In college, he was. But he wasn't looked at this great guy. All I say is I don't see this team making a jump until year 3 of the new regime. I hope that's not true, but I hope it's not true, Arlen. But I can't help but to be on that side of it. Armando says, "Listen, Quinn was a nice guy, and great coach don't go together. Period." I think Quinn was the best thing this franchise needed at the time when he came in. He, if anything, for all the folks that have short memories, Mike Smith, that probably didn't end as great as it should have. Mike Smith, to me, is the best head coach in our franchise, with all due respect to Lehman Bennett and Dan Reeves. But I think Mike Smith will go down as our best coach. But when Dan Quinn came, we had lost that swag we didn't really even have that swag. Last time the fans had some boasting and had some bravado was back when Vic was here. Even when Matt Ryan came and brought a winning culture, there was still not a lot of chest pumping, firing up, and stuff like that. Dan Quinn did bring that. For those who want to just bash the man for everything, you can't. He brought the brotherhood slogan. He brought he brought a little bit of a attitude in here. Don't act like y'all wasn't saying brotherhood, or y'all don't have a T-shirt that's torn up and you're using it as a cleaning cloth right now. Don't act like you did. Because that Super Bowl year, I saw more brotherhood T-shirts and rise up things than anything else in this world. So don't lie. John Harris, Ryan a leader? No, I can't buy that mule, boss. Yeah, Ryan's a leader. Ryan is not only a leader on the field, but he's off the field. And listen, I don't care what you say about that one, brother. Ryan was one of the first quarterbacks to come out last year in our summer of discontent in 2020. He knows the right things to say. He does not throw people under the bus, as my man said before. I just want that same level of leadership to transfer to the field into style of play. I'm not saying he's not a great leader on the field. I'm saying there are deficiencies that I think that could be connected, and hopefully he could, parlay that into more athletic leadership than anything. Matt Ryan is a great leader. That's not even a question to me. Can he do it anymore? I'm not sure. But Matt Ryan is a great leader. Brandon, and Russell hasn't made it past the division round since his defense was legendary, but he's made it to the playoffs. Stop it. But he's made it to the playoffs. At least he's in the conversation. I would rather be in the conversation than sitting home talking about what position I'm being drafted in the day after the season ends. Come on, Brandon. Come on, I'm gonna need you better than that, bro. Are you really going? I don't care if he hasn't been back. I would rather be in a situation where I'm 0-4 and have a chance to win, and then to sit back talking about what you would rather just be 4-12 or 7-9. Come on, man. Come on, Brandon. I know you better than that. Come on. Belichick won 2 Super Bowls as a coordinator. That doesn't count. Stop it. Stop it. He coached Lawrence Taylor. Stop it. He didn't have Lawrence Taylor's athletic ability. Dude, I could coach Lawrence Taylor. You could coach Lawrence Taylor. Come on now. You're reaching. What's the little meme? Stop reaching. Stop reaching. Very, very much reaching on that one. Very much. I'm a bash Dan Quinn like a pinata. We could have hired Todd Bowles. Yeah. Okay. Todd Bowles, who is the benefactor of Tom Brady coming to Tampa Bay, bringing in Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong wanted to come when he was here. You had a lot of injuries and folks got healthy at the right time. They brought Vita Vea in at the end of the year. So Todd Bowles all of a sudden is just an awesome defensive coordinator. I'll let you chew on that one, bro. Come on, man. Come on now. Now when you start doing that reaching, now I'm kind of like, come on now. You know better. Todd Bowles now is the guy. Todd Bowles was not going to do that with Isaiah Oliver, DeMonte Casey. He was not going to do that. Come on, man. Come on. Ron Thomas say, how can I call it? No, the phones, I don't have the phones connected right now. I had the thing on the thing, but I don't have the phones connected. I connect them up on Sundays, Ron. I'll connect them up on Sunday. Because honestly, I had not planned on staying this long, but I knew when I talk about Matt Ryan, that's always one of those points that, folks are just gonna go through, So, and listen, for those of you who don't get, and I hope you go back and listen to the whole thing instead of, I know some people come in the middle and don't exactly hear. CP says no love for Mora. Jim Mora, absolutely not. Jim Mora was a play setter for Mike Vick and wasn't a good babysitter for him, obviously. That was his only job. Jim Mora. But let me go back to the focus of this whole live. I support as my Atlanta Falcon quarterback, Matt Ryan. I support him. And I mean that. When it's kickoff at 1 o'clock and number 2 is behind the center, y'all gonna see me come out. I might say some great things about Matt. I'm gonna say Matt did the job. Matt was efficient. Matt did what he could for this team to win. I'm gonna go all out if Matt comes through. I am. But again, it's been a long offseason, folks. We've had a lot of time to think and a lot of time to kind of dive into some things. I'm just saying, I want people to realize that it's not hate at Matt the individual. It's just the hope that as an elite paid quarterback, which Matt is paid as an elite quarterback. He's not being paid as a scrub quarterback. He's being paid as if he's one of the top guys in the game. And when you're getting paid as one of the top guys in the game, I have to pick at it. I have to check you out. I have to see what you're talking about. As a fan, not as an expert, not as somebody whose opinion means anything in the Matt Ryan household. As a fan who's sick and tired of losing, and quarterback being that position that you absolutely pick on. Every team. It's not at the Atlanta Falcons. If you go to Detroit before Matt Stafford left, they were criticizing Matt Stafford. If you go to the Giants, who won 2 Super Bowls with Eli, the fans were sick of Eli. If you go to our arch nemesis right now, down in the Bayou, the last 2 to 3 years, yes, good friends of mine, hardcore New Orleans Saints fans, they wanted Breeze gone 3 years ago. They wanted Jameis to start last year. We are the only fan base that we hold on, coddle, pom-poms for somebody who's had 3 straight losing seasons as a quarterback. I know it's not all his fault, but folks, it's perception, folks. He's the highest paid person on the team, and he's the quarterback. At some point, the same accountability that you give to the defense, the running backs, the offensive line, you must give to the quarterback. Quarterback probably make more than the whole offensive line combined, or it's close. Oh, man. I'm sorry. Tidy said $100 million guaranteed over 5 years was just way too much. Matt's talent and skill set doesn't warrant it. And I bet you, and stay with me on this one for a quick second. Do you think, and this is my thought, and this is a personal thought. Again, remember, the Dimitroff era started. His first draft pick ever was Matt Ryan. Do you think they not even think. I think that because of what Matt Ryan did, and he was successful those first few years, and probably brought profitability back to the Atlanta Falcons. Remember those first few years with Vic, when Blank was here, that was when Blank had to cut the seats down to $10 a pop. You know he wasn't making no money then. And then he didn't have the remember he was going through the whole things about the concessions and trying to get all the money and stuff like that. So when the Mike Vick debacle came and Matt came back, the tickets had skyrocketed back up to normal price. Then all of a sudden, oh, we have a chance to be profitable. On my watch, Thomas Dimitroff. So fast forward to 2000, before he got fired last year, Dimitroff is rewarding Matt. Matt, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. First time he signed a contract coming off the NFC Championship, the first one. I understand. We got had. Second time he signed a contract coming off the 2016 MVP and the 2017 playoff year. I think what we learned is Thomas Dimitroff is loyal to a fault, and probably brought in Dan Quinn, who kind of had those loyalty genes too. I'm not saying I don't understand. Took Dan Quinn to the Super Bowl his second year, an eyelash away from a championship. I get it. But that's not how you can't be that way in today's football. Again, I go back and look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is like head coach, starting quarterback, 3 years removed from the Super Bowl. I give old boy a lot of credit. The ownership, he's like, yeah, I see the stuff going down. I want to cut bait before this stuff really hits rock bottom. Those are the franchise I respect. Y'all say what y'all want to say about Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G and really should have won it, just like here. And said 1 year later, you know what? I'm bringing somebody that I know that I can nurture and bring in and eventually will be the quarterback of my team. That's the kind of stuff I was looking for from this new regime. That's what I was looking for. I see a lot of replying. I'm not going to answer to the replies because I see. Hold on. I see Brandon. I'm trying to reply to you, buddy, but I'm trying to see what your first quarterback. You're saying, but Steve, wait a minute. What good is it to make the playoffs? And for some reason, I can't see your other playoff, your other thing. Oh, here it is. But Steve, wait a minute. What good is it to make the playoffs and lose in the first round every year? That has nothing to hang your hat on. Okay, Brandon, if the eventual goal is to win the Super Bowl, the eventual goal is for every team to win the Super Bowl, right? Correct. So you got 31 failing teams out there. In order for you to make the Super Bowl, you first must qualify for the tournament. So to your point, yeah, I'm not throwing confetti for you for making the playoffs, but you can't be in the conversation until you qualify for the tournament. So yes, I give Russell Wilson and gang plenty of conversation, plenty of credit for making the playoffs. Absolutely. Yes. Do they need to work on getting past the first round? Of course you do. But at the same time, at least they're in the conversation. We're not even in the conversation. I understand what you're saying. The all or nothing attitude. I get it. I'm down. I get that. But at the same time, in order for you to be in the conversation of the Super Bowl, you got to get to the playoffs. So almost like any sport, you can talk all day about what you're going to do, but if you don't make the playoffs, what's the use? Atlanta Hawks, super lucky to actually get in. A lot of teams kind of failed this year, but once they got in, they made the most of it. But you got to get in first. You got to get in. Everybody was talking about Golden State. Boy, if Golden State makes it in, Steph Curry, he's going to be all that. But they didn't get in. You got to get in first. Before you have that conversation, you got to get in. So that, I don't know. That's crazy talk. Tidy says Dimitrov wrote Julio's and Ryan's contract in the fashion he did. Because blank instructed him to. It's more author than TD. I can agree with that because it was author with the Falcon for Life stuff more than it was TD. I agree. No doubt. No doubt. So, you know, it's just, I'm trying to tell you folks, sometimes you have to realize perception, especially with fans, is huge. It's a huge thing. And the perception right now in the Atlanta fan base, I see is definitely a 50-50 shot. Right now, I think half the fans want to hang on and feel like, hey, we want to be here for you, Matt. But then there are a lot of folks that saying, dude, after 3 losing seasons, we're ready to try something new. If this was Matt's 4th year as a pro and he had 3 losing seasons, y'all would have been ready to not take that 5th year option. So what makes it different? What makes Matt different from what's my man just got that didn't get re-signed, Trubisky? What makes him any different? If you don't win after those first couple of seasons, Trubisky made the playoffs 1 year. What makes that any different? Steven says, just as an example, the Yankees fans are trying to fire everyone because they haven't been to the World Series in 9 years. The New England fans are trying to get rid of Belichick because he hasn't been to the Super Bowl in 3 years. We're the only fan base still trying to make excuses for a 13-year vet and 58-year franchise. Bottom line. And again, that's amongst us. Everyone on the outside is looking in at the Falcons and saying, why are they not doing anything? Why are they not moving on from him? Why are they not trying something new? Why didn't the Falcons get a quarterback instead of a tight end? Why? I wish I could answer that question myself. But again, I came on today because I really wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the Matt Ryan thing. I know it's a never-ending topic, so it's always interesting to me. And then I ended up talking to a couple of guys. I have nothing but love for opinions, folks. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you you're wrong any more than you can convince me that I'm not wrong. So I appreciate the back and forth talking about this. We're going to go over on Sunday. If y'all join us Sunday live, since there's no NBA, I don't know why the NBA isn't playing on Sunday. Which is crazy. But I'll be on Sunday evening. We got a couple of pro football books, magazines that came out that had the predictions for the year. So we'll go through that on Sunday. If you guys want to touch on the topic again, look, we can go through it right up to the football season. Obviously, when the football season goes, we're going to be focused on getting this team over the top. And I'll reiterate at the end, folks, I'm all down with Matt Ryan as he's my quarterback now. But I am going to call it what it is when he doesn't win. Now, if he doesn't win again this year, folks, I'm trying to tell you, it's legitimate. It's a legitimate beef. As a fan, to say, what have you done for me lately? That's about all I can. That's about all I can put out there. Anyway, until then, y'all have a great Friday and Saturday, and we'll catch y'all on Sunday afternoon, and hopefully at 6:00. And we'll talk a little bit about these predictions, what we got going on for the year. Training camp coming on next week or two. They got the big thing down at the Mercedes-Benz August 7th. Hope to see y'all there. I will be there. Training camp opens the week before that. I think they have like 5 days that are open to the public. Of course, preseason is a little bit shorter this year. But until then, y'all take care, man. Be good. We'll talk more about these Falcons. They're all Falcons, folks. We can argue amongst each other, but don't you dare let a Saints fan, a Browns fan tell you Matt Ryan's not going to win. I don't care if you don't think so. But you still defend your quarterback. So I'm going to defend them all day. But in here amongst friends, I just got to tell y'all, I'm a little nervous. And I have reason to be for the last 3 years. All right, y'all take care. We'll see y'all later. Peace.